He's very direct. He doesn't have a great bedside manner, but he'll say, we need to do this. We need to save ourselves. We need to save our planet. And he said, I'm not going to talk about the animals, but we need to do that too. So, next. Don Forster's a Kaiser doctor. When I was a personal trainer in Sacramento, at the big gym where I have this very popular gym series, they're just the most popular gym of all. I was a doctor at the Kaiser Hospital near the gym where I was doing my personal training. And often I was telling my personal training clients against what I was supposed to say as a personal trainer. I was supposed to tell them to eat lean meats and low-fat dairy. As a personal trainer, my nutrition there said to do that. I would write it down underneath and say, oh no, don't do this, do this. And I would take people who are 100 pounds, 80 pounds, 60 pounds, and they didn't have it anymore. And they go, why are your clients doing so well? I don't know, they just exercise a lot. It had nothing to do with it. It was the food. And he was the Kaiser doctor near me. And some of my personal training clients would go to him as a doctor at Kaiser, who's a vegan. And my clients would go to him and they'd say, he goes, why are you doing really well? What are you doing? I said, hey, he would say, I've got a great book for you to read. And my clients would go, oh, would it be the China study? And he'd go, what? How do you know that? And he said, oh, I have another one. And then he'd say, the client would say, or his patient, my client, would it be reversing diabetes by Dr. Neil Bernard? He goes, so pretty soon he would grab his patient, my client, into the nurses who were quite heavy and say, see, even my patients know these doctors. And so he is now no longer gives drugs and pills out. He gives the China study out of the book. Okay, next. These are some of the speakers we've had at the Sacramento Vegan Society. This is one of my favorites. I haven't even read this book. If you haven't, please. Oh, you haven't read? Oh, you got it. I read it from cover to cover the minute I got it. This lady is brilliant. I'm not going to tell you the punchline because it's really, really good. But and it has a punchline right in the first chapter. If you just get to the first chapter, you'll get the whole book, and it's fabulous. Next. Dr. Melanie Joy. That's Dr. Bernard, the guy I work for now, basically indirectly as a contractor. I'm a Food for Life instructor. He did years and years of research with the scientific team to come up with cooking and nutrition classes. So if you have 15 people who can gather together, I will teach them cooking and nutrition classes, and you'll get a video from him at the beginning, so it's fabulous. Next. John Robbins came to speak for us. Sold out crowd. Everybody know him? Okay, who knows it? Ooh, quite a few who don't. What empire did his father have? Baskin Robbins. And he said, Dad, I don't want your company. You're killing people with your food. His dad didn't talk to him for a long time. But then his dad had a heart attack later and they made up. But anyway, so he went in against the biggest ice cream company in the world, handed to him in his lap. In fact, he named Mocha almond fudge. He named it as a kid. They had swimming pools in the shape of ice cream cones. And he said no. And he wrote the book, Food Revolution. Get it? Thank you. Next. Bold Native, fabulous movie, how a father was trying to save his son from the government and ended up being on his son's side for saving animals. Really powerful. Next. We had them at the Sacramento Vegan Society. Gene Bauer, everybody know? Farm Sanctuary. Had a speak as well. And don't miss the hoedown on May 19th, coming up. Rory Friedman's a friend of mine. She dedicated her second book to my husband and myself. And I just fell in love with the title of that book. I just couldn't get over it. I had to know Rory, and I brought her up to speak. Go ahead. She's skinny, but she's not a bitch. Marissa, we had her as a speaker too. She has, how many have seen Vegucated? Oh, you got to rent the movie. It's hilarious.
They're playing it.
And it's playing here. Yes, and Brian in the movie is here. So, next. Jennifer Fearing from the Humane Society. She single-handedly pushed Prop 2 and the shark finning ban and all kinds of things. She's the Western's States, leader of the Humane Society of the United States, good friend of mine. Next, she was a speaker too. We had Erica Meyer, Compassion Over Killing, doing amazing work for the animals, fantastic speaker, if you can get her. Next. How many know Colleen? All right. She changed a lot of people vegan. She did with her podcast. Brilliant communicator, this one. I hardly know one person who's a better communicator about the animals than this kid. Okay. Oh, Dr. Richard Olander came, and he's from Michigan because that's his wife Jill with one of their pigs. They have a little farm sanctuary. And he is talking about the environment almost better than any other speaker we've ever had in our lives. Fabulous person. He has a little radio show now. And that book is unbelievably packed with information. I highly recommend it. He has standing ovation speaker. He was in San Francisco, and people just couldn't get enough. He came to Sacramento for us, and fantastic. Go ahead. I think he was in Berkeley too. You missed it. Okay, these are my two friends. This is Chef AJ. She flies up to my house all the time to cooking shows, and Juliana just came last weekend too. She was on Dr. Oz, and she's the registered dietitian talking about plant. Her book is the plant-based nutrition one. She has a gluten one free now. And the Chef AJ has unprocessed. If you want to eat yummy food, you can't believe it's vegan. But she uses what's the worst plant food you can eat for making our vegans like that?
Avocado.
Soy. Oil.
Oh, wait, I didn't.
Oil.
Okay, who said oil?
Oh.
Oil! Oil is a four-letter bad word. It really is. Oil is the Y, and refined flours too. But oil, there's only 4 calories per gram in refined flours or sugar. There's 9 calories per gram in oil. Oil has about 25 things wrong with them. Okay, let's go over one. You heard the first one. It makes us fat. The fat you eat is the fat you wear. It's a processed food. But Google will tell you that. All my favorite doctors will tell you that. So oil, oil, oil. Everybody says, oh, I just need a little bit of oil on my salad. And my salad dressing, I said, do you really like oil? Oh, I love my olive oil, my extra, extra virgin olive oil. And I said, okay, do you have some there? Oh, you do. Okay, here, have a cup. Would you like a cup? Oh, no. Well, you don't really like oil. This is a habit you're doing, a habit. So once you give up the oil, you're okay, because your taste changed. Yes.
I take flaxseed oil for my
Yeah, don't do
tomatoes.
that. Don't do that.
I can't, it's hard to find a supplement.
Can't you grind up the flaxseed?
Well,
Grind it up.
Yeah.
You can buy it ground if you don't have a coffee
I've
grinder.
taken it that
You
way.
can also put chia seeds in water and then mix that in your cereal the next day.
And hemp oil. I've gotten that as
Yeah,
well.
well, if you have to, you have to. But I would say I don't need any of that. I have flax ground up, walnuts. Can you eat walnuts? You can also have the chia seeds you soak overnight so they become like a little jelly. You throw that in your smoothie or you throw that in your cereal, and there you go. Chia seeds are even higher in omega-3s than flax. So take out the oils generally. It's just they're processed. They've been processed. You want to eat the whole food as best you can. And that's, okay, one thing wrong with oil. You got the weight gain. Number 2, anybody?
Clogs your arteries.
Clogs your arteries. Who said that?
I took the nutrition course too for now.
Hey.
Yeah.
No,
Otherwise I didn't know
knows
that.
Did you know oil clogs your arteries? You know how it does it? It takes your arteries, and there's endothelial cells that hold open your arteries. And when you eat oil, it destroys those little cells that hold open your arteries. And so Dr. Esselstyn, the leading heart reversal doctor in the world, he takes you off all oils, and guess what? Your arteries open up. And so it causes inflammation, it causes, what's the third thing? It causes cancer cell proliferation. It's like a free radical. It's like your whole body, white blood cancer fighting cells don't like to be in an oil slick. So if you want it to fight for you, you've got to take the oil out. It's a processed food. So next, oil problem. Diabetes. Diabetes. So even vegans who are diabetic, or if you don't want diabetes, you want to not eat the oil. How do you get diabetes? Anybody? How do you get it? Yes? Yeah, but why does your pancreas start? Why does your pancreas do that? Yeah, how do you get the insulin resistant? This is going to be on the test later, by the way. How do you get it? Okay, read Dr. Bernard, Reversing Diabetes. Here's what happens. Here's your cell. Say you eat a piece of bruschetta with oil. Vegan. No cheese. You eat the oil. The little cells in your body fill up with oil. Now, when the sugar is being made by the glucose is being made by the pancreas to try to get the sugar into your cell to give you energy, it goes to go get in the cell, but it's filled up with fat, so it can't get in. It's like, as Dr. Bernard would put, you put a key in the lock to open your door, but somebody put gum in it, you can't get in. The same thing. So you're blocking the sugar from getting to where it needs to go. They become insulin resistant. Okay, next slide. Oh, Forks Over Knives. How many of you saw that? Woo! Lots of you saw that. Great movie to give to anybody who's not there yet. It doesn't have animal pictures, so it won't scare anybody. Go ahead. This his book is one of the best ever written on everything from how we became a herding culture and why. How many of you read this one? Oh, you got to get this one, guys. How we became a herding culture and what would be Iraq 10,000 years ago. It is so telling how we think. What's the first thing people ask you when you're vegan? Where do you get your protein? And where do you get your calcium? All these questions are answered because the way we made protein so significant. Yes, animal foods have lots of protein, but it's too much protein for us. But I love the way he shows how we became a herding culture and how we start commodifying and making protein, animal protein as the, like if somebody's having a birthday, they want to go steak and lobster, right? Then we make a big high value. Like stock market, stockyard, capital, decapitalization, all has to do with your connection to how we made animals into commodities and no longer little beings. Okay, next slide. Okay, this man's very funny if you can get him to speak. He spoke with us, and when he speaks, it's a riot. You really enjoy knowing why we are automatically programmed to select high-calorie foods. You know what I mean? And it's very funny, so you see why you are. Go ahead, next one. Okay, this is Kim Sterla. How many know Kim? From Animal Place. Well, she's up in Grass Valley now. They just moved there, and that's Margie who helps her. And they just spoke right before me here. Margie did, and Dave, I think, David. So they have a wonderful Animal Place sanctuary up in Grass Valley if you can ever go there. Janice Stanger spoke here. Did you get to see her? She's wonderful, fabulous speaker. And also her book is just so easy and compact, and you take the 4 food groups and cut it in 4. It's so easy to understand. If you have people struggling with how to do this, that's the book for you. Go ahead. Okay, who's a vegan mentor? Everybody who's vegan. You are a vegan mentor. I'm not the only one. And what is a vegan mentor? What do we care about? The animals, our health, and the environment, right? Is there anything else? How about our well-being, our own well-being too, just our psychological well-being?
The personal mentoring.
Pardon?
We care about the people we're mentoring.
We care about the people we're mentoring. That's great. Next. So I don't know why for some reason all the type has changed on here. I had beautiful design type, and I don't know why. But anyway, these are the different types. Are you this one, or 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 this one? How many have you heard of this one? Have you heard of them? I have some on my Facebook. They're so angry. All they do is yell at people. And then this one, how many have you that? There's some nice ones out there, like Colleen Patrick Widow. Those who care just about the animals and not their health, and then you have those who care about their health and not the animals, and you got the greenies, and those who care about just eating. They go out to every restaurant, every time, every night, whenever they can. And then there's people who care about the animals, the health, and the green. How many are this one? A lot of you? Good. Okay, next. Okay, what does it mean to be a joyful vegan? Go ahead. It means you got to have some happiness in your life. You got to have some happiness. Happiness. What is happiness? What is the definition of happiness? It's love. These are my two rescued pit bulls. They were found in different places. But anyway, next. You got to have contentment in your life. You have to have contentment in your life. I'm not saying everybody has a rosy life all the time. You don't have to have some. Next. Oh, go back to the other one. Yeah, oh, next, sorry. Then curiosity, right? This is Farm Sanctuary in Orland, California. Next. And this is my dog. She does meditation every day. I learned so much from this dog, more than any other person, I think. Because every day after breakfast and after dinner, she does meditation. She gets up on the couch, she goes into that bush, and she goes like this for 5 minutes in a trance. You can call her name and she won't come out of it. One time my babysitter said, "What's your dog doing?" I said, "Oh, she's doing her meditation." And then she gets out of it, shakes her head, rolls around on the ground, looks around, see if anybody's looking, and then goes to sleep. And she does it twice a day, every day. She's doing something for herself to take care of herself. Okay, next. Then you got to have some joy in your life, right? If you want to be happy, to be a good vegan mentor, you got to have some joy. Go ahead. And this kid, Lily, she's at Farm Sanctuary. She jumped off the back of a slaughter truck going to slaughter. And she's living, because she had that bravery, she's living happily ever after at Farm Sanctuary. Next. And you have to have some adventure. You got to meet new people. You got to just have a good time. Go ahead. Okay, so here are some of the things that we need to consider when you're being a vegan mentor. And this, I learned this from Nick Cooney and Change of Heart book. And when they did a telephone survey, they found that when most people were considering going vegetarian, the top 3 reasons were health, and then the fourth one was animals. But after they were vegetarian, then 1% more cared about animals than for health, and a little less for the environment. I thought that was very interesting. So when you're doing your vegan mentoring and they're not vegetarian yet, you've got to remember where they are. Example is, I have one client who lost 35 pounds in 5 months, but I said, okay, it's time for you to watch Peaceable Kingdom, or one of our movies, you know, like Earthlings or something. And she said, okay. So she watched it. It didn't even faze her. She's Italian. She was never raised with animals. She just thinks, oh, this was just, it was just, oh, those are animals. Didn't even faze her. So you have to know who you're talking to when you're mentoring and get on their page. I will never get her to be empathetic towards animals. Is it better to have people empathetic towards animals? Do they stay longer on the vegan diet? Yes, but you can't always get everybody on that page. Okay, next. Okay, appearance is important. Now, I don't recommend this. I want to put that there because I do have some people I know who dress like that. I don't mind you're being creative. That's not the problem. It's just that if you want to make behavior change, appearance is important. I went to the PETA event. McDonald's was having a marketing meeting for their new slogan, "I'm loving it," and they were unveiling the design to the marketing people of McDonald's. So PETA had me go, and I dressed in a business suit. I went as a graphic designer, which I used to do. And they let me in. They let me in the meeting because I looked appropriate. And I got up on stage and I grabbed the mic from the guy that was speaking and I said, "Excuse me, I just have to make a quick announcement. And then I'll leave." But McDonald's needs to really stop putting their chickens alive in the boiling water like they do in Europe. And people are so stunned, they just sit there for a minute because I just grabbed the mic from the guy on the stage. And then the security guy chased me off, but you know. But I wouldn't have gotten in the meeting without the right appearance. Next. Okay, there's a lot of things that go on when you have a lot of people working with you in large organizations, whether they're vegan or vegetarian or not. And I found out there's a lot of people who, there's so much ego involved and jealousies. You gotta check that out. You just gotta leave it out. And then I find even on my own meetup site and on my own Facebook pages, people have started to criticize other organizations who are doing this wonderful work. Now, I don't agree with all of them. I'm an abolitionist, so I don't agree with all of them, but I would never badmouth any other group working for animals or people. So, and if you're really lonely and depressed, that's going to backfire too. So, emotional self-control, you can't just say whatever you want whenever you want. If you want to be effective in behavior change. Example, remember when Michael Vick had that dog fighting ring? Everybody was up in arms, including me. But instead of focusing on what we could do to make things change, we all just went, hate Michael Vick, don't like he got his job back, blah, blah, blah. What we should have all been doing is going to the SPCA in your area and saying, what are you doing about finding the dog rings? That would have been a behavioral change that we could make change with, rather than focusing on the anger towards Michael Vick. See what I mean? We got to use it in the right place. Next. Okay, obstacles. The media can be your enemy or it can be your friend. I have a great lady who loves animals a little bit in the media on a radio station. So she interviews John Robbins for me, my chefs, whoever comes up. And she likes me a lot. And I have to space it out because it's a very conservative station. But a lot of stations will twist your words, you know, and they cannot be your friends. So try to cultivate one person somewhere in the media to help you. Power. The people who get the most power the quickest sometimes do the most harm. And like the Holocaust or Stalin, remember when that happened? The more people that are being hurt at once by somebody one powerful on top, the more people turn away. They don't even help the people who need the help. And that's just what happens with people who rise to power quickly and have a lot of it. And so always be aware of that. And next we have the attitude and behavior gap. Okay, I have a friend who gave a little bit of money to PCRM, but she's still eating hamburgers, you see. She doesn't care because she did something good. Now she doesn't have to make any changes. And that's called the attitude and behavior gap. And then the original conformity is, remember Descartes at one time said animals have no souls? I don't know how many of you have run into this, but I have people all the time say, oh, don't worry about the animals. They don't have a soul. If one person who was important back then said one thing, it's very hard. It's an uphill stream trying to get that out again. You know, that's not true. And also, Descartes said that Francis Moore Lepay said you have to combine your proteins. Do you guys?
No.
No, that's a myth. You don't have to combine your rice and your beans to get a complete protein. Expectation of judgment. When I teach a body sculpting class, I go, okay guys, this is going to be tough. Guess what? They're tired already. But I say, okay, we can do this, all of us, come on, together, go. They can do it. Expectation makes a big difference. So tell people that you're going to fight for the animals and you can do it too. You can be a part of the solution. If you say, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, guess what? They expect not to do it. So always be positive when you do that. Go ahead. Empathy avoidance. I have this aerobics class I've been teaching for 10 years, 3 times a week, and I have the most dedicated people come. I teach step in that one and body sculpting. But Debbie, she goes, oh, Linda, I love animals. She's about 58. She goes, Linda, I love animals, and I really appreciate you love animals, but don't tell me because I don't want to change anything. That is the empathy avoidance. She wants to change, but she doesn't want to change enough to do anything because she doesn't want to have to change anything. And then more innocent. Okay, when you show those SPCA pictures with the dogs who are so innocent in their cages, I can't look at them, but you know, those get empathy fast. Okay, go ahead. Those are the best for getting change. Okay, selling your point. Selling good is way over bad. So if you say, oh my God, I am so fat, I just feel so awful all the time. And I shouldn't be feeling like this, and oh gosh, but if you say, oh my God, I have so much energy now, today, because today I ate well. Today I didn't eat any animals or cheese or oil, and I feel great. That sells what you're doing better. Okay, behavior first, belief second. This is from Nick Cooney. So you got to change the behavior before the beliefs. Just the other day on Facebook, somebody blasted on my Facebook. Oh my God, not another cookbook, another vegan cookbook. Come on, get over it. Just go stop eating animals. And you can't just tell people to change their beliefs. You have to have the behavior change first. That's why I started teaching Food for Life classes, because I'm showing them how to cook it, how good it tastes, and then after the behavior change, you get the belief change. So after they say, oh, this isn't cardboard, this is good. Oh my God, this is vegan? Oh my God, this is oil-free? I didn't know it could be so good. So then they start to believe. So you got to change the behavior before the belief happens. Denial. If people think, like you say, oh, I've heard this one guy, he said, oh, that green movement, what a hoax. They're just making money off of it. And if you know you're part of the problem, you want to shut down into denial. You just don't even want to know, but that's what that's about. So you have to help people get in the shoes first of where you are. So for instance, when I was doing a honey baked ham demo, this is about 10 years ago, I was out there with my sign, and I have the help me please sign with a cute pig at the honey baked ham demo. All these people in line to get pigs for Easter. And of course they call it ham because you wouldn't want to call it a pig because that's too close to what it is, right? So I'm standing there in line and say, oh, I said kind of loudly, I said, you know, I used to buy those too. Because it's so easy for Easter. I know, I used to do it. It tastes so good, doesn't it? And I'm holding my sign, has this cute pig, it says, help me. And there was this great big guy, about 6'4", big tummy, big overalls, big hat. And he walks out of line. He comes up to me like this. I thought he was going to slug me. And I was looking like this, you know. And then always says, can you help me? I used to be a pig farmer. I know what they do. And he started crying. And I hugged him. And we hugged. And I had this whole image of what he was about. And it wasn't what he was about. He just didn't know you didn't have to eat them for Easter. He didn't know that. So, you know, we're both crying. I dropped my sign, you know. It was just, and you know, that was one of the biggest moments of my life, and that was about 10 years ago. You can't judge a book by the cover, that's for sure. And he could have judged me, and I could have judged him. Instead, I got him to get in my shoes. And I got into his shoes. That's how you make behavior change. Go ahead. Okay, cancer patients. I'm just going to go quickly because I think I'm out of time. But do you know if you take two groups of women with breast cancer, they gave this group chemo, this one no chemo, they both lost their hair. They both lost their hair, but only one of them had the actual chemo. That's the placebo effect. It's very powerful. A lot of people tell you, oh, I went vegan for a week, but I felt sick. That's because your whole life they were told you're only real and good and healthy if you eat meat or cheese or eggs. So when people go directly onto a vegan diet for a short time, sometimes they can feel sick. It's a placebo effect. Okay, go ahead. Okay, this is one of my clients, before and after, that I was sneaking at the gym telling her how to go vegan. Go ahead. Here she is again. Go ahead. This is Suzanne. Go ahead. Go ahead. So these people I helped in a very short time. Go ahead. This is my dog Sparky. And I would do anything to make him comfortable. Anything. Because I love him. He's like a person for me. Go ahead. I don't care how we're sleeping. He gets the whole bed. I'm falling off. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. And this is my German daughter, my fake German daughter, where she sleeps with her dog. So she would do anything, obviously, for her dog. Go ahead. I don't recommend you sleep with your chicken, but I'm hoping that you, if you're not vegan yet or vegetarian, that you just open your heart to all animals. All animals need love, and care, and they need us to protect them. Go ahead. So this looks like my Sparky a lot to me, so it cries when I see these kind of things go by. Go ahead. We just all need a little love. Go ahead. Again. One more. No, here's Piper. She's here today. She did the Turlock Hen Rescue. How many know about that? Big hen rescue. And they need the love too. Go ahead. And the last one. Thank you.
So with regards to oil,
Yes.
what's the difference between having a little bit of olive oil in salad and having a bowl of nuts, for instance, which also have oil?
Well, the difference is one's a processed food. You can't make the oil in the kitchen, right? And one isn't. So have nuts. But the nuts eat olives, but don't eat the oil because it's processed food. Here's your olive tree here. You take all the olives off the tree and you mush them down, and you have all the oil taken out and put it over here, and the fruit of the olive and the nutrients of the olive over here, and you're left with 100% fat over here. And some of it's saturated, 14 to 17% saturated fat. And so it's 100% fat with no nutrients, and you're adding that high caloric food. It's 9 calories per gram instead of 4 calories. It's 4,000 calories for a pound of oil. It's very high calorically, and then you can't figure out why you're vegan and you're still struggling with your weight. I know because I did that too. But nuts are a whole food, yes? Nuts are a whole food. So yes, you want to do your nuts with a whole food, is a whole food. So add some sesame seeds to your salad so you can have the absorption there, and you've got it. But just make sure it's not the oil, processed oil. Motor oil, canola oil, olive oil, it's all a processed food or something. It's oil that's been processed. So you just want to avoid that. And I have an Italian friend, another one. She goes, "But Linda, I'm Italian. I have to eat my oil." But she still has 40 pounds over. She's vegan for 5 years now. And I said, "It's the oil." And she's like, "I give up my oil. I can only have a little bit." And so the oil is a big issue. I teach people how to cook without oil too. Any more questions, anybody? Yes.
Well, how do you do pasta without oil?
Oh, I'll tell you. Okay, first, I'll say you're going to make a pasta sauce, right? And onions have a lot of water. So you have your pan here. You chop up your onions, you throw it in the pan. They have so much water in them that you can actually cook them and they caramelize a little bit. Get them to brown, and then add a little tablespoon of water or oil-free veggie broth. Seitan butter is good. And then you put your garlic in. It has no water, so you add a little more water. And then you cook those together, and then you add your carrots and your onions and your Italian parsley and your whatever you want. And your tomato sauce without the oil. And then you've got this wonderful aromatic marinara sauce, no oil. And then you just cook your pasta in your water, and then you've got it, right? It's simple.
Except the pasta will stick without the
Oh, no. No. You just rinse it in cold water after the pasta, if it's the sticky kind. You just cook it for the amount of time. How many have done that, okay? Yeah? You just cook it in the amount of time you're directed to, and then rinse it in cold water and it doesn't stick. Yeah. And then you have to heat it up with the pasta sauce again, just to get it warm. But yeah, it's real, yes. Did you say?
I found a quick rule of thumb for me. I'm good at this is for salad dressing. You
Yes.
substitute fruit juice for the oil. Makes it add.
Yeah, that's one way too, fruit juice for the oil. Or the other thing I do is I use a date paste. I soak the dates overnight in water, and I mush it up in the food processor and I keep the date paste in my fridge. Then I add lemon juice, and then I add garlic and onion powder or whatever you want, whatever seasoning you want. Even the water-packed artichoke hearts, or even some tahini if you want to make a tahini, and some ginger if you want to make sesame ginger. But tahini is still food without the processing. See, tahini is still the part of the food is still with it. It's not been, the oil hasn't been taken out. So you could still use fat. I didn't say no fat. I said just no processed oils. So that you can just a whole myriad of, but that sounds like a good way too. Fruit juice for salad dressing. Yeah. And at Whole Foods where I live now, they just started a whole kick the oil habit, so I'm so happy they did that. Because John Mackey, who owns all the Whole Foods, is on the oil-free McDougal diet. So he's implemented that in the stores.
What's the difference between Esselstyn oil-free and, I'm on the Esselstyn one.
Oh, that's terrific. It's perfect.
But is there a difference between that and the McDougal one?
Not really. I think Esselstyn's a little more strict on even keeping nuts out, too. He wants to, especially if you have heart disease, he really wants to keep your nuts lower out. Whereas McDougal allows nuts, whole nuts. And if you don't have really terrible heart disease, I would say keep some nuts in. Nuts are supposed to be eaten in a small quantity, instead of this huge, peanut butter globules, out of the jar. That's a lot of nuts at once. So you just want to keep it a small portion. Yes?
I heard that, I went to a nutritionist and she said soak the nuts overnight. It makes them infinitely more digestible.
True.
Yeah, that's probably true. But most people don't have digestive problem with nuts, I don't think. Do they? Do you?
What it does is it gets rid of the enzyme inhibitors, which allow the enzymes to help act on the nuts and digest them quicker.
Oh, that's a new one for me. Okay, so I know garlic you're supposed to chop up first while let it open so the allium can release the enzymes so it fights cancer better. Let it sit for 5-10 minutes before you put it in your dish. I know that. But I didn't know about the soaking of the nuts. Thank you. Anybody else? Everybody good? Oh, yes.
Do you have any views on raw versus cooked?
Oh, that's a good question. I happen to have asked Dr. John McDougall about 5 years ago, so I got a good answer for it.
Okay.
Everybody should, of course, eat lots of raw foods. I always do every day. But there are some foods that, number one, are harder to digest if they're not cooked. And I'm a potato head. I eat 6 potatoes a day, so I wouldn't want to eat that cooked. And then, I'm Irish, what can I say? And also, like broccoli should be slightly steamed. Look up Dr. Michael Greger. He's, I think it's Nutrition MD or something like that.
NutritionMD.org.
Yeah, nutritionmd.org. And he'll see which food should be slightly cooked and which should be raw. But the problem with a lot of, not all, but some raw foodists is they use way too many nuts. They use agave nectar, which is a super corn fructose, terrible sugar. They use too many sugars, and they use too many nuts and oils. A lot of them use oils too. So there you have it. You got some not so good things going on with the raw community. But if you're making, like Chef AJ makes a kind of a raw date cocoa powder thing with no sugar, it's fabulous and it's raw. You can do all the stuff the right way raw. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, we're good. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, I have the cutest t-shirts. They're only for girls, sorry. It's kind of a girl design with a V-neck and a cap. It's fitted, and it says, compassionate, sexy, go vegan. If you want one. There it is. So I'm going to go out there.